Welcome back, everyone. This is part 5 of creating smart virtual appliances. In this section, we're going to look at advanced software bundles. And the reason for using advanced software bundles are that you can have reusable scripts. So you could write a script that will accept the variables from the software bundle, and that way you would simply be able to clone that software bundle and change the arguments that are passed to the script for the installation portion. So that's one reason. And so in an example of when that might be very helpful is if you may have to deploy the same type of web server several times, many instances of the same type of web server, and you may have to actually not deploy but create many virtual appliances for that web server. And this way it makes it easier. You can reuse your bundle. You just clone it, provide different arguments, and then you can use the same bundle to install different versions of your different web server applications. So we'll have a look at that in a minute. Another reason is that when you look at these advanced bundles, we'll be using the configuration tab and configuration scripts. And the benefit of that is if the information that is passed and collected at deployment time, if there's a parameter that you need to pass that's not collected with those default parameters that we saw earlier, such as IP address and things like that. So if your parameter that you need to pass is not there, well, we can create a custom bundle that'll ask for that information, and we'll do that using the PADK, which is the Program Activator Development Kit, so or Product Activator Development Kit, I guess. So the first thing we're going to look at is a better version of that earlier script that we saw, that dead simple script. This script, we're going to accept some variables from the bundle. So here's the script. And you can see that these are the variables that are set in the script. I'm setting default variables, and I'm showing here how to pass the variable to the script. So for this variable, you would pass it as -log file, and then the argument for the log file. In this section of the script, we're looping through the arguments, and we're just setting the variables. So we're replacing the default settings with settings passed from our software bundle. And then we just run through. I have a little function here to run the command, and then write the command to the log file. So then we just run through our commands, and then we're done. And this basically installs the same web server that we installed before, only this time we're going to use the more advanced script, which makes it more reusable. If you want it to pass different parameters, so you want to install a different web application, you could use the same script over and over and just clone your bundle and change the names of your arguments. So we'll just go in here and we'll click on Build Software Bundles. We'll create a new software bundle. In the interest of time, I'm just going to skip the description part. So this time when we upload our script, we're going to choose that install underscore arg script. We'll make it executable. And then we'll select our WAR file, well, actually our SQL file first. And we'll add our WAR file. Select our script to execute. Now this time we're going to be passing arguments. So we're going to look at the script to see which arguments we're going to pass. Okay, so the app name. Log file. Let's just, yeah, we'll add that. Verilog AOTH install log. Oops. Okay, we'll pass the WAR file. WAR file. koth.war for the value. Pass the SQL file. SQL file. And it's koth.sql. And we're going to pass the password for the root account. SQL pass. And we'll set the password to something half decent for a password, even though it's a test. Okay. Save our changes. And for this this run, I'm still not going to add any post deployment configuration stuff. We'll see the best way to add that later. You could simply add a shell script in here, and you could use the parameters that are parsed, the default parameters, and write those any of those arguments. You could take the data from that and write it to a file at deployment time, which allows you to do the post install, post deployment configuration automated using a bash script or a shell script. You could do that, but I'll show you the PADK in the next run, and you'll see that it's a much better solution for doing post-deployment configuration. Alright, so we're going to publish this bundle. That should make it available to add to our image. So we're going to extend our original base image. I'm not going to change anything in here, just in the interest of time. And we're going to add our bundle. And we save our changes. And we have to synchronize again. So we'll start the synchronization process. And in a few seconds, a new temporary virtual machine should start up, and there it is. And as before, we're going to do a time lapse here, and when you come back and when we continue, the virtual appliance will be synchronized. We'll go from there. Okay, we can see that this virtual appliance has been captured, and it has our bundle installed here, the version 2 of our bundle, which is a smarter bundle, because when we use this bundle, we can reuse the script as well as the bundle file. Excuse me. So we can reuse the bundle just by simply cloning it and changing the arguments that we're passing into the bundle, and we would create. We could use that to create several different virtual appliance files. Now, the configuration tab, we could simply create a script to run add it to the configuration tab. It's the same way as adding a script to the install tab. We could have a shell script in there, and if all you need is the arguments that are parsed by default when you deploy a virtual appliance file, then you can simply do that. If you need to parse for other arguments at deployment time, we can use the product activator development kit, which comes with the icon tool, in order to create a custom custom product. Okay, so now I'm going to show how to use the PADK in order to create deployment time scripts and parse for specific information at deployment time. And so what I did ahead of time is I've deployed, using the OVA run Python script, I've deployed a virtual appliance based on our last completed virtual appliance using that smarter script. So there's actually a virtual appliance that's here running, and what I plan to do here is create for a case, a use case type example. What I'm going to do is create a script to change the MySQL password. So we're going to parse for the MySQL root user's password at deployment time, and then we're going to automatically change that on the VM once it's booted up and once MySQL, the MySQL daemon is started. So we'll be using the PADK in Eclipse here. So what we do is we just click on File, New, and you can see how to install this and get this running. It's in the Redbook. So you can have a look in the Redbook. I can check here, and it is chapter 5, so section 5.2, and that gives you the information for installing the PADK and getting it up and running in Eclipse. So we just click on New, File, New, Other, and we click on the IBM VADK PA and Next. And now we have to type in a name for our project. Change password. Just click Next. And it has this nice wizard here so that we can fill in our information. So we can add a service that we're going to wait for a certain service to finish before we actually run our script. So the script that we're going to wait for is MySQLD, and after that service is started, then we'll run our script, because we can't use the I'm not sure if it would work actually to run the MySQL admin command without the service running. It might work anyways. So we have to give it our parameters. So we're going to have SQL underscore pass. And the default value for that, so we'll just set a default value of password with a 0. So configurable is true, so that the user can make a change to that at deployment time, and required will be true as well. The label is what they'll see when they're asked to enter the information. Okay, and then we just click Finish. And the nice thing about this is that it populates the code for us. That's most of the work is done for us, so we just have to add a few changes to it. So we're going to set a variable equal to we're going to set a variable in the script equal to the argument that we're getting. Okay, so now our self.sql underscore password will have the value that we need. And to start with, we're going to use the VM instance that I booted using that virtual appliance. So we're going to actually connect to this VM instance with the tool, and just to do our debugging. And because our package has already installed MySQL on there, and it set the admin password to admin, this should work properly. So we have to build a string for our command that we're going to run. Okay. And to start with, instead of changing the password right away, I want to just write this command to a file just as a test to make sure that the command looks proper before we shell it out. I'll just put a new line character in there as well. We'll just close the file. Okay, so now I've already set this up, but I'll just show you the debug configurations. So you can set the target that you want to connect to in here. And when you set it, you can do a test to make sure that there's connectivity. And it just returns like that. If there's an error, it'll bring up an error. You can also set your icon in here. So you have to set that up. Looks like that. You can test that connectivity as well. That gives us the ability to automatically create the software bundle in the tool itself. So we'll just run the debug. Okay, it says it was successful. Now we'll just take a look at the actual box here. Oops. Okay, it's 120. Okay, so the command, yep, that looks good. Just disconnect there. So let's just comment out the file operations here. And what we'll do is we'll just shell that command right out. Just want to verify the password on that test box. So right now the password is admin. So after we run that command, once we connect here and run this, now when we log into this box, so the password, the default password that we entered was password with a 0, so this should work, and it does. So it changed the password for us. So that's just a simple example of gathering some variables and running a script using those variables after deployment time, and sort of scheduling the script to run at a certain point in time. So in this case, after MySQLD has started. But I think, you know, if you use your imagination, there's quite a bit that you can do knowing this information. So what we'll do, we're going to create a software bundle to put this into the tool. So now we're just going to right click and say, oh, where is it? Connect to icon. Okay, so now we're connected to icon and we get these extra little buttons up here. So this is, we'll create the icon bundle for this PA extension. So I just clicked on that, so it's created. So now if we go back and look in icon and we look in the bundles here, we do a refresh, and we see our MySQL change password bundle, and it's still in an editable state. It's not published. So we just need to go in here and have a look, and then all we have to do is just publish this. And now that it's published, we have the ability to add this to an extended bundle. So we can do that. I've actually done it already. So this virtual appliance right here has both bundles included. And I followed the same procedure as before, where you just extend the original base image, edit it, add your bundles. So, and then you do then you do your save, your synchronize, and your capture. So here are the two bundles I added. So this is our sort of smarter install. So during the synchronization, during the creation of the OVA, this will run, and it's passing all of our parameters. Excuse me. And this change MySQL root password is the configuration side of things, and it doesn't have any install stuff. So it only has deployment things. So it's going to ask for the MySQL root password and change the password once the virtual appliance is deployed. So I think that just about wraps up the demonstration. And hopefully you found that useful and you're still awake.